So today I'm going to be doing a wrap-up video of the books I read throughout April. Ended up reading about 4 books this month, which I think was pretty good considering I was on a slump for most of it. But yeah, I picked up a few more books this month and a couple of them were real standouts, so I thought I would share them with you. The first book I don't actually have to hand, and that is Brain on Fire by Susanna Callahan. I will insert a picture of what that looks like here. I have done an actual book review of that and one of the other books that I'm going to show you, so I will upload that. It will either be before or after this, so just keep a lookout for that. But basically it is about a woman that for about a month of her life has developed an autoimmune disease, and she ends up having sort of blackouts. She becomes very paranoid, very erratic. Her complete personality changes and becomes very different from the person that everyone knows her as. She ends up having to leave work, she ends up being admitted into hospital, and it's just a book sort of following her throughout this time of her life, and how she recalls back the events, which I thought was really interesting because a lot of it she sort of had to ask people for because she herself couldn't really remember. And if you're interested in sort of psychology, different mental illnesses, different diseases, things like that, then I think it would be a good book for you to read. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was good, but like I said, I wasn't completely drawn into it because the whole way through you're sort of thinking, well, she's going to be alright in the end because she's written this book. But I have given it to my best friend because she wanted to read it, so I no longer have it with me, and I was fine with giving it to her because I don't think I'm going to be reading it again. But like I said, stay tuned for that. It's a double book review, so it will be in there. The second book is Frozen Charlotte. This is by Alex Bell, and I think it's a series of books, sort of like horror, thriller type books. I actually got this and the next book I'm going to show you as part of a deal from Tesco's. It was 2 for £7. I thought that was pretty good, and the ones that I've bought from Tesco's have by far been the best ones I've read this month, to be honest. This is the other book that is in that double book review, so I won't talk about it too much. I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I want to get a few more from this sort of thriller series. This is about a girl who ends up losing her best friend, and it sort of spirals from when they're playing on a Ouija board, and the person they think is talking to them is her cousin, Sophie's cousin, that died through some mysterious accident that Sophie doesn't really know too much about, and she ends up going to live with her family in Scotland while her parents go away, and that family is the ones that had the daughter that died. And it's very mysterious, very sort of suspense filled, and she's trying to not only find out what happened to her cousin, but also there's these different things that she's uncovering and finding out about her family because she doesn't see them too often. And the whole Frozen Charlotte thing is about the house that her family lives in is an old schoolhouse for girls, and at the time a lot of mysterious things happened. A girl ended up getting poked in the eye and going blind. A teacher was supposedly thrown down the stairs. So lots of different things, and the girls played with these little miniature dolls called Frozen Charlotte dolls, and they were very creepy. They would make little outfits for them, but like death outfits, and they are still in the house, and there's this whole thing with Sophie's cousin being really interested in them. And so it's sort of following Sophie trying to figure out not only getting over the grief of her best friend, but also finding out about her cousin, about her family that she doesn't see too often. And I'll read you the back of the book because it might tell you a little bit more. So it says, Dunvegan School for Girls has been closed for many years. Converted into a family home, the teachers and students are long gone, but they left something behind. Sophie arrives at the old schoolhouse to spend the summer with her cousins. Brooding Cameron with his scarred hand, strange Lilias with her fear of bones, and Piper who seems just a bit too good to be true. And then there's her other cousin. A girl with a room full of antique dolls, the girl that shouldn't be there, the girl that died. And then on the back it says, warning, not for younger readers. This honestly was so good. I definitely wouldn't recommend it for young adults. But yeah, if you're over, I don't know, 14, 15, really, really great book to read. And like I said, a great suspense. It is a little bit gruesome in places, but I think that just added to it. So definitely recommend that one. So the third book I read this month is the second book I got from Tesco in that deal, and it is Watching Edie by Camilla Way. I, again, really enjoyed this book. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was sort of another sort of suspense, not quite a mystery, but that sort of suspense contemporary feel. I'll read you the back of the book and then I'll tell you a little bit more about it. It says, there are some friends you'll never forget, no matter how hard you try. And then it says, before, Edie is the friend that Heather always craved, but one night it goes terribly wrong, and what started as an innocent friendship ends in 2 lives being destroyed. And then it goes, after. 16 years later, Edie is still rebuilding her life, but Heather isn't ready to let her forget so easily. It's no coincidence that she shows up when Edie needs her most. Then it says, now, Edie or Heather, Heather or Edie, someone has to pay for what happened, but who will it be? So, really drew me in. So, this book is sort of split in a way into 2 halves of like alternating chapters. So you have the before and you have the after. The before is told by Heather, and it is in the time where Heather and Edie are still at school. Heather's sort of the good girl, gets on with her grades, very good relationship with her family, that sort of thing. Edie is sort of the new girl that comes along, doesn't have the best relationship with her mum, doesn't try too hard with school, gets sort of into the wrong crowd, gets involved with this boy. And Heather absolutely idolises Edie, she wants to be her best friend, and they end up becoming friends. And then, and then the whole book sort of is surrounded by this one event, and that event sort of separates the before and the after. So throughout the book, right up until the end, we're thinking, what is this event? You know, what went on between them that's caused this sort of estranged friendship? And at the end it does tell you. So the before bit is told by Heather, and then the after bit is sort of probably 10 years later. Edie has moved away from that town, and she is now a single mum with a baby, and she's really not coping very well. And one day Heather turns up at her doorstep, and Heather starts to become very sort of caring and sweet to start with, but then she becomes very, very possessive, and that is where sort of the story spirals. And it, like I said, it flicks between the before and the after, so it's interesting to see the Heather perspective and the Edie perspective. You were starting to like sympathise for Heather a bit, but you still thought she was very, very possessive and slightly like needed some help. The big event at the end wasn't completely what I expected. In all honesty, I thought someone was going to die, and that was what the big event was. I thought there was going to like be a murder that got caught up in it all, but it's not. I won't tell you what the event was, but it was definitely sort of unexpected. But it was very sort of understandable to see why Heather is how she is now. You end up sort of feeling sympathetic for both the characters, and you can see where their struggles came from. So I really enjoyed this book. If you like sort of, as it says, a gripping psychological suspense, definitely one to go for. So yeah. And then the last book I read this month was My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie Helyn. I have seen a lot of people talking about this. This is actually a signed first edition. Ta-da! Which makes it really cool. The only other book I've read by Sophie Helyn is the first Shopaholics book, and I wasn't too crazy about that. I know it's a really popular sort of chick lit series, and my mum's definitely read them all, but I thought it would be interesting to try and read something else from her, because I did quite like her writing style. It's very easy to follow along, but I just wasn't so drawn into the Shopaholics series. So like I said, I'd seen a little bit about this. This is about a girl called Katie, or Kat, who is a girl from Somerset, I believe, and she moves to London and tries to emulate the perfect life. As you know, today we're all about having the perfect YouTube backgrounds and the perfect layouts on Instagram, things like that, and we can all get so caught up in seeing what is on our like social media and thinking that's the truth. And this book really shows you that everyone has a background. Everything is not what it seems. Don't judge a book by its cover. And that's what I really liked about this book. So it follows Katie as she moves to London. She changes her name to Kat. She thinks that's going to help her like sort of reimagine her whole lifestyle. She's trying to get within this sort of branding job, and she's trying to make an impression on her boss, and she ends up being let go from her job. And she moves back to Somerset with her father and stepmom and helps them start up their own sort of like glamping business, like with teepees and huts, things like that. And so it sort of follows her. She's trying to not only find herself, find out what she wants to do within her life, alongside these different stories that are sort of intertwined with other people that used to work at her old job. One character that particularly stood out was Katie's boss, called Dementor. Odd name, I know. She ends up coming down to Katie's father's glamping site as sort of like a holiday with her family. Katie thinks that she's got this glamorous life with her family, she's got a great job, she's able to go to all these high-end places. She also thinks she's sort of having an affair with this other guy that works at their firm, and Dementor comes down with her family, and Sophie, why do I keep saying Sophie? It's because it's in the other book. Katie thinks that this is her chance to sort of get one over on her, and she tries to go incognito so Dementor won't recognise her. Obviously in the end she does, but there are some funny moments where she ends up getting one over on her boss, and it's like, good on you. But in the end you really find out more about Dementor, and you start to really empathise with her and her whole situation, and that she may look like this high society boss that bosses everyone around, but really she has a very hard time with it all and a lot to tackle and a lot that's on her plate. So I really enjoyed this book, and I was pleasantly surprised at how much I liked it compared to after reading the Shopaholic series. Yeah, it's definitely one to read whether you do or didn't like the Shopaholic series, I would say. I thought it was pretty good. And yeah, so those were the books that I read this month. Let me know what you've been enjoying reading. As always, I'm looking for new recommendations. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.